This is the culture.
All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Cinema Wave podcast. My name is Mark Jacobino. I'll be one of your hosts today. I'm joined by my animation crew members here at Cinema Wave, Vinny Albano.
Hello.
And Mikey Pennison.
Hello, everybody. Hi.
And today we are talking about the global phenomenon Solo Leveling, the anime adaptation that has recently premiered. We'll be talking about the first 3 episodes, which actually coincide perfectly with this beautiful volume we have here, volume 1 of Solo Leveling. So I'll be talking about it from an adaptation standpoint because I did read Solo Leveling last summer, really enjoyed it. And Vinny and Mikey are going to be bringing different perspectives. They have not read the Mawa, and I don't think they're really familiar with the story at all beforehand. So I'm excited for this conversation. I think we'll have a lot of different viewpoints coming into it. So I just want to give some background into Solo Leveling for everyone, you guys and the audience at home listening or wherever you're watching. So Solo Leveling was a Korean web novel originally titled Only I Leveled Up, written by Chu Gong. There's going to be a lot of Korean names in this that we're all going to butcher, so I apologize in advance. It became really popular, the web novel, when it was adapted into a webtoon. So as you could see from this artwork, the webtoon is super vibrant, really great colors, and the webtoon was illustrated by Dubu, who unfortunately passed away last year, but his artwork will live on forever through Solo Leveling. As I said, the artwork is so sleek, modern, and vibrant. It is really what made the story so popular. It is really carried by the artistic background of this story. So if you see the artwork from Solo Leveling, it's so unique. You'll know it right away. So the reason that this anime adaptation was so anticipated was because people were looking for what were they going to do with this adaptation? Were they going to do this artwork justice? And there's a lot of, rumors and controversy and expectations that came into this adaptation. So I'm going to go through those really quick. But the first thing I want to talk about is the studio that is going to have to take charge of this job to animate such a difficult source material that Solo Leveling is, and that is A1 Pictures. They are a prolific anime studio in Japan. Previous works from them are Sword Art Online, which is pretty fitting because this is a video game type storyline. Love is War, one of the most popular and critically acclaimed romance animes out there. Your Lie in April, one of the saddest animes out there. Yes. And then one of my personal favorites, 86. It's a futuristic war drama. Highly recommend if you have not seen it. 86 is fantastic. So it's a great production studio. They have the talent to animate, but I know a lot of people are still waiting to see if they're up to the test. But so far, so good with the first 3 episodes. And something that's going to be helping them out is the score. And the score is being done by the GOAT, one of my personal favorite artists in the world, Hiroyuki Sawano. He is a master at composing, and his previous works include Attack on Titan, 86, 7 Deadly Sins, and Blue Exorcist. Expect grand orchestral pieces from Hiroyuki. He has unorthodox sounds kind of laced in between them, which I think will be really cool with the video game aesthetic here. And he's also a master pianist. I think he will really add a lot of sweeping piano pieces throughout this. I'm really looking forward to that as well. So with all that out of the way, I do want to talk about the final piece of the expectations coming into this anime, and that's the controversy around a Korean webtoon being adapted by a Japanese studio. There is some friction between the 2 countries, and the story itself has a geopolitical aspect to it on the grand stage. The original story is told from the Korean perspective on the world stage, and that's why all the characters have Korean names, obviously. But there was some controversy that they might change the story to make it set in Japan, which upset a lot of people, and rightfully so. I think the fact that it is set in Korea is very important to the story, and we still haven't had any confirmation that it is set in Korea through the first 3 episodes. So that's something I'm still kind of worried about moving forward, but I really hope that they do stick to the source material for the most part and keep the story set in Japan. So we'll see. But that was a very long intro. Hopefully you guys got a little background into solo leveling. It is a worldwide phenomenon. I think it is one of the largest downloaded webtoons of all time. So I'm excited for you guys to experience the story as I have. And let's just jump into these first 3 episodes. What did you guys think to this introduction of solo leveling in the world that it's created?
Yeah, so I guess let's start off. So solo leveling, I've not been exposed to the source material like you have. However, I know of just the sheer intensity behind the popularity behind the series. I have many friends that read it when it was coming out week to week. And these first 3 episodes, as an outsider to the series, I feel I'm intrigued. But I still feel as if my interest hasn't been grabbed quite yet. I feel like there's, which obviously we're setting up that there's a lot of potential within Sung Jin Woo, and that his character is going to grow, which I've heard. He gets like the biggest glow up of all time.
Sung Drip Woo. He has an internet name, Sung Drip Woo. He's coming. Yeah. He's coming.
So I'm excited for that. But as of right now, I'm holding on. It's definitely holding my attention. But as of right now, I just feel I feel like I can't really comment on much per se, due to that. If we want to kind of piggyback off of the whole Korea Japanese scenario,
sure.
I remember when they first announced this, and I guess they've changed it, because I remember that when they announced the production, that they changed the names to Japanese names, and I was like, okay. I don't remember people being very mad about that. And then when I watched the episode, they all have Korean names. He's being called Sung Jin Woo. So I'm not sure what happened, or if they reacted to the controversy and maybe changed it, or maybe I was reading something wrong. Yeah, I'm excited for more, but as of right now, I feel like nothing has quite exceeded to the point where I'm like, wow, this is incredibly original, and I'm excited.
Right. There was a lot of hype that it had to live up to. Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Of course, yeah. Mikey, how about you?
So I'm coming into this from a different standpoint from both of you. I am not experienced to the source material, but I'm also not too experienced to the genre as a whole. I've seen a few animes, not in its entirety, but I've seen a little bit, so I'm familiar with the genre. But even like those are I think a lot of the ones I've seen come from mangas, and so having this be am I saying it right? Mawa?
Oh, it's a Mawa. Yeah,
Mawa.
Korea is Mawa. I think it's like the Korean equivalent to a manga in Japan. Gotcha. Mawa. Yeah.
Gotcha. So still, that's even another new thing for me in it. So all of it is brand new to me.
Nice.
I coming into the show first watch, I really enjoyed it. Granted, again, I don't really know too much to compare it to, but I was caught off guard by a few things with this genre. I didn't realize how dark this genre can be, how dark it can get. Like the gore element, I'd seen a little bit, I've seen a little bit of like Attack, and I've seen that's probably sadly that's probably like the most I could really say confidently.
Sure.
But again, I was just taken back by how real and like gruesome, and they don't hold back at all in a lot of things, and so I loved that element, especially to know that it was an art style, having it all be like this. But then the story itself too, like you guys. You touched on it. Great intro, by the way. But
thank you.
But you touched on like a lot of the things that we have been seeing, and I don't know. I feel like it supports it all. The music, in this, I definitely think helps. Again, I can't stress that I'm so new to this enough, but I even feel like certain things that they're doing as far as the story, that really have just like me super intrigued, like the whole computer element, like things like that. I don't know if tech is usually sort of like a typical sort of story that you'll see in a lot of these productions and animes, but I don't know, something about it that it's just so like futuristic, and it's like it's I don't know, this I could see how this is probably different than others for sure, and for it to being an introduction to it as kind of a whole. I'm really impressed by it. And I am also really impressed by the colors in this for sure. I didn't know the source material coming into this. So having it here is really awesome to see, and seeing that it's just as vibrant as a lot of the colors that we were seeing in the production. That's really cool to see, especially also hearing that like a lot of these are typically black and white. So like having all of these elements, especially just being new to it, it's really interesting. But again, also just kind of going back to the story, I really resonate a lot with Jin Woo. I don't know, it's something about like being in this world full of not everybody with abilities, but kind of just like being like this guy that's constantly tried to prove himself countless times and is now finally getting like this opportunity. I don't know, it's just something about it. It's a cool way to see the hero's journey, and which I'm realizing is probably a common thing for a lot of these characters in a lot of these productions. That was a rant. I enjoyed it.
No, it's good. Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think Sung Jin Woo, I think it's really interesting that he's a low level hunter. He's the weakest hunter in the world. So he's looked down upon by the people he's supposed to be equals with, but he's supposed to be more special than a regular human. And so he toes this line where he's not like impressive as a human, but he's not impressive as a hunter either. So he's just living in this kind of middle ground where he's just like, he's not accepted by either side, which sucks. And he's only doing it to try and pay for his mother. So it's like he's in this life for her, and he's struggling every day just to get by, and most of the time he doesn't get by. Like you see scenes where he goes into these dungeons and he doesn't even get a cut. Like he just goes in, risks his life, and he doesn't even get a cut of the I think they're called mana shards, I forget what they're called, but yeah, I'm a really good fan of solo leveling. I don't even know what it's called. But yeah, so I really like that you brought up him, and I'm excited to talk about him in these first couple episodes. And I'm glad you brought up the gore, because that was something that I noticed, and I would say that this is surprisingly one of the more gory anime I've actually seen. I really do believe that, because I think a lot of other anime like Attack on Titan, like you said, the gore in it is usually stylized or it's used for a purpose. I feel like here, and sometimes they even like block out like excessive gore, but here I feel like they really push into it. I mean, there's scenes where people are getting cut in half and you see the entire process of them being cut in half, or you see the opening scene is literally someone getting eaten alive by ants like that. I mean, that was intense, and that took me back. I mean, the Mawa is for sure gory, but I did want to ask you guys about that. So thank you for reading my mind, Mikey. What did you think of the gore in this, Vinny? As someone that's seen a lot of anime, what did you think of the gore usage here? Do you think it elevated the story? Do you think it contributed to what they were trying to do, or do you think it was maybe over excessive?
All right, so I'm gonna be honest here.
Go for it.
I think I'm desensitized. I think I'm just I've seen so much anime, and the gore to me was like, oh, but it didn't like strike me as something like extreme.
Fair.
So I mean, I thought it was, I don't know if cool would be the right word to describe it, but I thought that it was appropriate, because for that scene, the Statue of God scene, that was probably the best scene in these 3 episodes. And it shows you how really intense that this world can, like the things in this world and how intense they really can get. So right from the bat, they are establishing some really high stakes here, which I love. I love that it's just all out, like, and people are getting chopped in half. I think that, I don't think it was too gory. I don't think it was too excessive at all. I think it was fine. I think it was honestly a perfect amount, and I think that they incorporated it in a good way, like I've said, to establish the stakes. I think that the scene where, and we are talking about spoilers, I'm assuming.
Yes, we're going into spoilers.
Okay, cool. So the scene where Sung Jin Woo is literally getting cut up. He's the last one there, and there's an amazing cut that is key animated by Satoru Shinrashi. I believe that's, if I butchered his name, I apologize. But Taro here, he animates that scene where the statues like stab him and they like lift him up and like blood is dripping everywhere. It's coming out of his eye sockets and they slam him onto the altar. I thought that was so intense and real. That's what really intrigued me. That's like, okay, this now I'm excited to see where it comes, like where it will get to in the future. And oh my god, I forgot my train of thought. But
that's
anyhow,
right. Yeah.
Basically the point I was trying to make was I don't think the gore like took away from anything. I think it complemented it actually quite well.
Yeah. And so I just want to give my like thoughts on the first 3 episodes really quick, just from like an adaptation standpoint. Like, how did they do adapting it? And I thought overall, like I did enjoy how they adapted it, because they added a lot of scenes and they reordered scenes here, because originally in the first volume it's really just the dungeon, like the whole dungeon, it's all from Jinwoo's perspective, but we see cutaways to his mom, his sister, some other characters that we see are going to be more important later on in the story, like the S-rank hunter that saves the girl's purse from that guy on the motorcycle. Like, she isn't introduced until later into the Mawa, but here we're seeing her front and center. So I do like that they're introducing characters, and of course introducing the world. Like, we have some of the conversations with the chairman explaining, how the world works. So I think from an adaptation am I saying that wrong? Adaptation? Yeah. I don't know why I keep saying it so much it sounds wrong. You ever do that? Yeah, so I think from that perspective, I think they've done a really good job. I think in some cases they over-explain things. I wish they let the audience kind of get things, but that's just kind of an anime thing. Welcome, Mikey. Sometimes they just love exposition, and they're just like, here's the exposition 3 times so you really get it. So get ready for more of that. But yeah, I think I enjoyed it. I like Sung Jin Woo. I like that they've made his character, someone that you empathize with, but he's not, like, again, a goody two shoes. Like, he has his own ambitions, even if they are like really for the good of people. But we see, like, when he is on the doorsteps of death, like, he's like, why did I do this? Like, why do I feel like I need to die? Like, what that? Like, no, I got stuff to live for too. So I thought that was great for him. And yeah, so I think we can jump right into kind of the events of these couple episodes. I do want to ask you guys before I jump in, are you guys video game people? Like, do these like RPG elements kind of speak to you guys as video game people? Because that's another thing that people really like got drawn to here, was like it feels like you're watching someone literally go through a video game, and like it's kind of like a power fantasy for you. Like, oh, that'd be so cool if I could literally like level up and give myself more strength and get like gear from this godlike figure. What do you guys play a lot of video games? What did you think of that aspect, Mikey?
I don't game a lot. I game a little bit, and so I am familiar with a lot of that aspect and that sort of that look. And I really appreciated it. I think it's always cool just to see, I feel like, tech be integrated in like a cool sort of like, I don't want to say Black Mirror sort of ish way, but like, you know what I'm saying, like real life, be implemented into the real life world like that. And then like the fact that he can then benefit from it and level up in like the real world from it. I don't know, that process I think is really interesting. It's really cool. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's really cool what you have to say.
Yeah, so I wouldn't say I'm particularly like an anime sorry. Are
you an anime guy?
I'm definitely an anime guy. I wouldn't particularly say that. I'm not like I love video games, and video games like, some of these pieces of media that came from the video game industry have changed my life. But I'm not like a gamer.
Yeah.
I don't really typically play a lot. I'm more into what we're here doing now. In my free time, I watch a movie, TV show, anime, rather than sit down and play. However, there are, like I mentioned, games that are significant parts of my life, particularly RPG games. Fallout New Vegas is like my favorite game of all time. I love RPGs, and I'm also I'm a dungeon master. I DM like this huge. I've been a DM for about 3 or 4 years now, and the current campaign we're doing has been going weekly for 2 years now.
Oh my gosh.
So I love D&D.
Yeah.
And D&D is very much like here, and in RP, it's a role-playing game. So you have like your ability scores, and although in D&D you don't level up like Sung Jin Woo here, where like he just does like 100 push-ups and put it all in strength. Put it all in strength. In D&D it takes a very long time. I think it's every like 4th or 8th level you get a chance to get an ability score improvement. But the same concept applies there, and I do like that idea of like character customization. That's why I love RPGs, and that is definitely the most fascinating part about solo leveling, because it's taking in a lot of other animes, and particularly like isekai animes, Sword Art Online, for example, or other isekais where the characters are transported to a separate realm, and then they kind of play a character in this separate realm. But what I like about solo leveling is that you're taking that separate realm and the real realm, and you're combining them. So now, instead of like Kirito from Sword Art Online, putting on his VR and transporting into this virtual reality character, those elements are now in the real world, like the world we live in, which I thought was really unique. And that's what really drew on me, is now you're bringing those RPG elements to the real world. And I essentially kind of wrapping what I'm trying to say here up in a bow. Like you mentioned, like people like the idea of like almost like a power fantasy of like leveling up yourself, like your own character, which is what solo leveling I think is its greatest strength, because you, like I mentioned, you're taking these tropes in a lot of like isekai media, but like you're just a little bit of a twist to it, to where it feels unique, and it's like, oh, okay. So
no, it's definitely an isekai, like you said, and I like how you put it, that it is worlds kind of colliding. Instead of going to the other world, the other world is brought to you, and how those worlds interact through these portals these dungeons opening is really cool. So let's jump in. Again, the opening scene I think is really important for not only solo leveling fans, but also for newcomers, because it's an action sequence with these ants, and a lot of us were like, okay, this action better be sweet, because the series is only going to get bigger with action. And I thought this opening sequence with the S rank hunters fighting these ants was so cool. I love that there was no CGI. That's so important. Like CGI, I think, will be very like I feel like a lot of people were worried that this show would have a lot of CGI because there are so many elements, so many big characters in it. But I think this opening scene was so smooth. I loved the teamwork of the two characters, and the lightning attack, and it was just like a really good cut, and I loved it. So I was like, okay, all right, good start. And again, this is setting up something bigger, this ant island that they show in the beginning. So it is setting up something bigger, and that's why they put it at the forefront. So just wanted to call that out. Do you guys have any real thoughts about that? Yeah, go ahead.
No, I just actually really wanted a comment on that, because that was one of my favorite cuts of animation in these 3 episodes. Takashi Tori, key animator here, did this like 50-second cut with the lightning attack, and you have these this is probably my favorite cut in the 3 episodes we've seen, where it's like the camera's like dollying. It's very snappy. It's very nice. Camera dollies forward, like it's low on the ground, and characters are like blitzing around to attack this ant. Really awesome. And I was actually gonna ask if I hope we see more of this again, because these S rank hunters were like, this is dope. This is really cool. And I was like, I want to see these characters again. So.
Yeah, the best way I can describe it is like we're still in the opening area of the game world. You know what I mean? I don't mean that literally. Like, I'm just saying, like, our character is still very low level, so we're going to see very low level things, but then as you get up, you'll get S ranks and crazier stuff. So, but it's nice that they gave little taste, little appetizer for like you guys to see that. And yes, the ants will definitely be coming back into play in the future. So, yeah, Mikey, anything on this opening sequence?
I mean, I definitely thought that the opening sequence was awesome. Visually, I think it was awesome. I think it definitely set a stake as far as what true, I guess. I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, but like the greats, I guess you could say to a degree. It was cool to be thrown quickly right into it. That's what I appreciate. Like it wasn't like we kind of like it started with us just slowly getting to meet Jin Woo. We're like, oh, okay, we feel bad for this guy. You know, and it just right off the bat it threw us into it. And so I appreciated that. You know, I think that following it, there were a little bit more things that kind of hit harder for me. But again, just a cool, perfect way to start it. I agree. I think so.
Yeah. That's a good way to put it. Because like you said, the light novel or the webtoon does start with just like Jin Woo just showing up to this dungeon that appears like I'm the weakest hunter. I'm ready for. He has his lunch pail and he's like, all right, ready to go in this dungeon. So yeah, let's just jump into the dungeon. We don't have to go scene by scene, but. What did you guys think of the evolution of this dungeon sequence? You know, getting introduced to what dungeons are, these low level kind of fights, and then like a boss is at the end of the dungeon, very much like video game mission like. What did you guys think of that evolution of them going into the dungeon, having like classes? You know, you have your healer, you have your warriors, you have your like protectors, your shield guys, and then like what anticipation did you get when they stepped into this just like new dungeon? Like, whoa, what's going on here? What was your kind of thought process just as people just experiencing it for the first time?
Mikey, do you want to take this?
Yeah. Do you have anything?
I want to formulate my thoughts.
Okay. All right. I got you. Yeah. So being in the dungeon, it's so funny because like obviously this game is really very much built off of the video game theme. But watching it like play out, it felt like playing a video game. You know, it really did feel like, you know, going through these different stages and stuff like that. I feel like I appreciated also the quest basically portion of it, getting to where they needed to. Just because it not only sort of again set a precedent as far as the risks and the things that could happen, and like down to like even like a booby trap, you know,
right.
You know what I'm saying? Like those things, and it then like seeing the one by one them get picked off too by such things, and until they get to a certain place. And I don't know, I just felt like that was just really, I don't know what the word is that I'm looking for.
It made it real. Like it's not a video game. Like it is real. Like, they're so confident going into the dungeon. They're so confident going into the dungeon that like they're like, oh, we'll just take care of this, and then they actually start dying, and like a healer can't save them, and you could tell like they're used to healers like saving them from mortal injuries, but they're like, oh my god, that person actually just died, and then it's just like it's like a shock for them, because you could just tell that this was just another day for them. All right, we're clearing a D rank dungeon, no problem. What's going on in? Oh boy, what's going on in here? Right. So no, that's a good way to put it. Yeah, Vinny, have you formulated your thoughts?
Yeah. I apologize about
that.
No
worries. No worries.
So I think what I like about going into the room of the statue of God and having that little scene is it reminded me a lot of, going back to D&D, that's like some shit I throw at my players, like especially with the commandments and like I forget what order it was, but it was like faith in God was third, second in God was
It was like praise God.
And
Mikey's got it.
I love that part that much. That's what
the commandments. Yeah,
but I really loved that aspect of like it felt like a puzzle.
Exactly.
And like you mentioned, now are characters who are, they think this is a D level dungeon, it's easy peasy. But now they're forced to think with their head and not just with their brute strength. And that's where I think Sung Jin Woo, like, his strength comes from. And I hope they explore this later on of, like, his fast ability to come up with solutions like that. Like, he knew from the very, like, he knew what the puzzle was and he knew the answer. I hope that we don't lose that attribute of his character later on. Like, we see him in episode 2 or in episode 3, like, he's gaining his points and he's putting it all on strength, and he's probably gonna get really yoked and really strong. But I also don't want him to lose his intellectual aspect to it. But that's what I really liked. I liked how it felt like a puzzle, like I mentioned, that I throw at my D&D players, where it's like, you got to think with your brain, but you're also like trying to out combat the statues that are attacking you. Yeah. And it was fun. It was fun.
Yeah. And it does introduce, like the looting aspect of it. Like, you see, like, they beat the main boss, the what they think is the main boss, and they're collecting all the loot, and they're like, oh, you get this, and Jinwoo's just got the one little shard or like little crystal that he can take out of the dungeon. And that's another thing that, like, it introduces, like, they take stuff out of the dungeons, and you see the chairman's room, like, there's he has like a trophy case with all these different like loot things, swords and like different crystals that are worth different amounts of money. And Jinwoo's mom is like being kept alive by that crystal that was from a dungeon. So it's very much like introducing the idea that all of these items in the dungeons are valuable to the outside world. And then you get some political intrigue about like how does that work and all that. So yeah, for me, obviously I knew about the double dungeon, but I love how they animated this. Again, huge figures but no CGI, which is really impressive for me. Usually when you have those things you expect CGI, but I absolutely love the way they animated this. The particle and color effects with the lighting in the room with the flames is awesome. And then we get the iconic, I don't know if you were ever going to see a panel from Solo Leveling, it would be the iconic creepy smile from the statue when he's like, when it's staring and then it just like at the mouth is just blank and then it goes and it's like a Joker smile. That's the most iconic Solo Leveling panel. And I thought they did it justice. So yeah, I really enjoyed, the evolution here, just as someone that knows how it goes. And then the bloodbath starts. So you guys, Mikey, you talked about the commandments. Do you want to kind of talk about what you really liked about the whole commandments piece? And then just as people started going down, like, how are we going to figure this out?
Sure. So I really loved the commandment portion of it. I have it right here because I actually wrote it down word for word when they said it.
Nice.
They say, first, revere God. Second, praise God. Third, prove your faith to God. Those who do not follow these laws will not leave here alive. And I don't know, I just thought that's like, this whole thing is like full of tests. And I feel like, especially with Jin Woo's character, I feel like a big portion of him is a big part of him is that he's so willing to do a lot of this. It's like he realizes that he might end up in like the position that he's at, but he's so willing. And then like how you brought it before too, how he had the ideas. I don't know, I feel like that all kind of plays into, obviously, I mean, he's the main character, but but like I feel like all of that and like everything that kind of makes his character, I feel like really will play into the fact that now he is given these tests to be able to level up and everything like that, just to going to that point. But as far as the commandments, I love that. I just thought that it was in that regard a test for all of them, and them just having to now figure it out through them with all of this, but knowing that like their deaths are on the line as well, and while actively watching them all get killed. I don't know, there was like a whole there was like a stressful element to it that I loved. Coming from I come from a religious background, and so like the way that they kind of like threw the commandment into there like that, and I like how they built it with, you know, like these are correct. What's the correct term for these statues? I forget what, if was there a term.
I don't think they gave him any terms in this one. No.
Okay, no. Whatever they what's it called?
The instruments you're talking about, like the instrument statues, or you're talking about the statues with weapons?
I guess all of it.
Yeah, all the statues.
Right? I don't know. I felt like coming from that sort of religious background, the fact that the test was in like an obedience sort of way too, I guess is what I'm trying to say. I don't know. It's like weird. It's like playing into religion, like in a warped way, but not a warped way, because it's also kind of religion to that degree.
Well, like, it's a dark religion, because it's taking the idea of God and literally like smiting people that don't follow his commandments, and that's a very medieval way of thinking about God, but this is in a modern age, so they're all like, what? Oh, like the priest guy, he's like, oh, I know a couple prayers, and he goes to do the prayer, and he's literally praying, and he gets stepped on.
Still,
like it's a very twisted, like you said, it's a very twisted view of religion and God, a very medieval view of religion and God. So yeah, it's a good thing to bring up.
But I do feel like a lot of it is playing into like these people's their morals, like how you brought up how like he thought to go ahead and just start praising him, but like, and I wrote that down in my notes, like how much of that is him actually then obeying, and how much of that is him thinking, oh, I gotta do what I do to save my life, and how much is that then like selfish, you know? You know what I'm saying?
True.
So it's like I wonder how much all of this will play into a lot of what else is going on around them. And so I love the commandment scene. I'll pass it on.
Yeah, very cool.
That's actually some really great insight that like I didn't fully get. So that was good. That was good that you pointed that out. Thank you for that. Thank you. Oh yeah, of course. Cool.
My favorite part of this is, of course, having to do with Hiroyuki Sawano. Of course, my favorite. I think he was number 2 on my Spotify Wrap this year. He might have been number like 3 last year. He's the best.
He's the GOAT.
He's so
literally
good. Even if you don't watch Attack on Titan, you've probably heard his scores on whatever social media you're on. But my favorite part of this is when they all had to go to the statues and they each started playing an instrument. And I love how it was in universe. Yeah. They started playing the instruments one by one, and then when Sung Jin Woo gets to the voice one, everything rises together into an orchestral piece, and you're like, is that happening in the universe, or is that Sawano in the background? I love how they blended that. That was my favorite part, probably of all 3 episodes. Vinny, you got something to say?
No, I just wanted to.
I saw Vinny like hyping me up as I was going.
Yeah, I just wanted to like just quickly comment. Yeah, no, that was awesome, because I forgot about it until you just reminded me. And I was like, it was awesome. Where like literally the voice of that statue then goes right into it, and it's like, and it's just epic. It's just epic. That's the best way I can describe it.
Yeah, I love when you blend the music and the story so seamlessly, where it's the same thing. It's all one thing. It's not just like a score underscoring a scene. It's the scene and the score are one and the same. So that was definitely my favorite part of this. And I guess we can get to the end part of this double dungeon where they're all kind of in the circle and all of the flames represent a person. And we'll just wait. We're good. I'll just go back. I'll just start again.
Yeah. Okay.
We got a camera die. Oh, that sucks.
Oh, damn.
Are they like rechargeable? Like, okay. It's annoying because like the camera's on me, but I'm gonna say we had technical difficulties and it wasn't even the camera that was on me that cut away. So they're gonna be like, "What is he talking about?" Oh, there we go. Camera one's just your jacket. Because it was black, because your jacket's black. I was like, what? Oh no. I was like, oh no, camera one's gone. Alright, everyone good? Okay. Alright, I'll jump back in. All right, so getting to the end of the double dungeon, we get to the piece where the flames are all representing one person and they all run to the middle. And Sung Jin Woo is like, essentially, someone's got to sacrifice themselves. Like the flames will keep dying out, but selfishly, if you leave, the door's going to stay open. But one person has to stay. And, give credit to the leader of the group. He's like, I'll stay. Like, you guys have a lot to live for. And Sung Jin Woo, something in him makes him say like, oh no, I'll stay, like I should be the one to die. And again, as people that watch anime or not, we're like, oh yeah, main protagonist giving himself up. But I guess we just kind of get lulled into that, and then in the end he kind of realizes like, why did I do that? Like what like I should have just taken that. Like that was clear logic. This guy just lost an arm, I'm young, this girl's young, I have a mom that's sick, I have a sister, like why did I do that? So I like that piece of his character here. What did you guys think of this aspect of it, and just the last puzzle essentially being like, you can leave, but you're gonna screw everyone else?
Yeah, so that is something I want to be explored upon more. I've heard a lot of people like Sung Jin Woo in the manhwa is one of their favorite protagonists of all time. So what makes him so special? And I feel like that gray morality and like that conflicting nature within oneself can add so much to it. Because like hypothetically, let's say he becomes, he's ranked number one in this world, right? And he puts all his points into strength. He min maxes everything,
Of course,
right? And then he's at the top. And then with that strength, what if he chooses like, hey, I want to do something selfish, which would add so much tension. It would add so much I think complexity and compelling nature to the series. So as of right now, I can't really comment too much on it, but I think we're getting these little breadcrumbs that I hope are expanded on, even in the little slightest of ways.
Yeah. How about you, Mikey? This last test, what did you think?
I thought that I don't know. I felt like in that last test, it still provided a little bit of that human side, I guess you could say, just because I know that there is like this whole like human versus like the hunter, like just normal human, I guess you should say. Or versus a hunter. And so it provided that element to it. It provided just a real sort of element, like oh shit, why did I do this? So it was nice to appreciate that. But again, I really like I said before with like that whole like moral like acting on things, but whether you're selfish or stuff like that, like you said too. I don't know. I feel like that may be like a theme here. And so now having it cut back to that sort of selfishness again, I also see that maybe being like something that we're gonna explore more. Whether it is with his own now leveling up journey, or if it is with everybody in this show. But that moment, I appreciated the last test for the human real oh shit sort of side of it. And I will also say, considering what came after, it was nice to have that sort of freak out beat, that sort of like, oh snap, like why did I do this, let me like right before, like the whole like how they say like right before you die, you like see like, your life
Right.
flash before your eyes, like that sort of moment, thinking that this is gonna be the end.
Mm.
For those who didn't know, obviously, I'm new to this all, so like I didn't know where they were going with it, and so when it came up, the last message in the end, it was a cool beat to kind of contrast what we just saw, you know, him freaking out.
Yeah.
And so I thought it was cool.
Yeah. I do wish one of my biggest it's not really a criticism, but I really wish they just premiered the first 2 episodes together, because I think the ending of this second episode was the hook. Like that should have been the first week ending, and that's what I thought they would try to do. Because you know, having your main character die at the end of your premiere would be like, oh shit, it's a very Attack on Titan thing to do. like obviously. So I really wish they did that from an adaptation standpoint. But again, I think they did all of this very well. And for people that aren't privy to Solo Leveling, you're like, oh shit, like what? Like, oh wow. And then the little screen pops up like, do you want to come back alive? Like if you don't answer in 0.02 seconds, your heartbeat will stop. So yeah, it sets up all of this really exciting stuff. And I just want to, again, like as someone that read the manhwa, I think this conversation you guys are having about like selfishness and selflessness is really prevalent throughout the story. And I guess I kind of glossed over it, but I do think like as you guys watch and as I watch now, I'm going to be looking at it through that lens of like, are, you know, governments doing it? Are people, individuals doing it for selfish or selfish reasons? Even if it looks on the outside like a selfless reason, is it really self-serving and at the core of it? So I think that's really interesting that you guys kind of brought that up. So then we move into episode 3, you know, after we get the gory blood fest and the blood curdling screams of Sung Jin Woo. What did you guys think? Because this is kind of like the big change now. Like he's alive again. Like what did you guys think seeing episode 3? Like, oh, he's okay in a bed. What did you guys think?
Personally, I kind of like I wasn't familiar with the source material, but like I was familiar with it to the point where like I knew that was gonna happen. But like I said, like, you know, they're setting up these breadcrumbs, and now it's making me wonder, like, what exactly he is now signed on to, and why. Why is it that the sacrifice at the statue of God is given that opportunity? You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of questions now arising. You know, and what is the true prevalence of this? Because like he says, like the video game-esque UI that kind of pops up, no one else can see. So I'm excited. What if there's other people like him that were a sacrifice to a statue of God or something akin? Or what if people find out that he's now kind of found this new magic system within the world, and then they try to capitalize on that, or they try to capitalize on him, you know, or try to take advantage of him in some sort of way. So it's setting up a lot of questions as of right now, which I hope they explore upon. I don't know how many episodes this first season is, but
apparently it's been reported to be 12, which I think a lot of people might be disappointed in, but I'm actually very happy that it's only 12, because it means that they can pour their hearts and souls into these 12 episodes, and it almost guarantees that the animation quality will be up to the standard that it needs to be to tell this action-packed story. I think if you had like a Jujutsu Kaisen level 24 episode season, I think it'd be very difficult to achieve that. So I actually like that it'll be 12. I'm hoping they get to, you know, an important story beat to end it on, where it doesn't feel like Chainsaw Man, where the first season is like really good, but it's like that, I don't feel like that was enough. So yeah, right now it's reported to be 12 so far.
Okay. All right. So I think that maybe we're I don't know if we're gonna get the answers as of yet, but you know, maybe a little bit more setup. Yeah, it's really just questions as of right now. But what about you, Mikey?
Episode 3. I don't really have too much to say. It was cool to now see him out the world. There were a few things that I really appreciated with episode 3. It was really cool, like I said, to see him outside now of the world and see these abilities come into play. How he is able to like kind of like be taken out of certain times and be thrown into other times, and like another moment that I really appreciated was there was this moment where he was in the hospital room with his mom. I think
his sister.
His
Yeah,
sister.
his sister comes in. Yep.
Yes. But did they ever? I don't think I'm mixing this up. Did they ever cut back to the mom though in her bed?
He was in the room. It was like a really quick cut. He was sitting by her bedside. You're right.
Got you. Okay. I don't know. There was something about that, just because prior to this we hadn't seen too much interaction, and that's still not too much interaction between that. But I still think that that's an important part of the story. That will play into his character moving forward. So it was kind of nice just to kind of see that, to a degree, see him that sort of beat moment where to remind us that this is kind of like another supporting factor in his journey, I guess you could say. But aside from that, I don't know, I just feel like episode 3 it was cool knowing that now, like, he is in his own little boat, his own little category. Like, obviously, like, he can now level up and get to where he wants to go. I mean, but like, it's just it's cool. I know that we probably haven't seen nearly as much as what he can really do and everything with it. I think it was a cool introduction in terms of slowly bringing us into this now world that he's living. I still think that a lot of what's going on still plays true to, in episode 2, there were like a lot of religious connotations, low-key. And this is like a wild analogy to be comparing it. But like the fact that like he isn't as selfish as most, and that he was willing to be this living sacrifice for these godly. I don't know. Like, I kind of like connected to Jesus a little bit. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like
no, I hear you.
Know what I'm saying?
Like a Messiah.
A Messiah.
It's a very chosen one-esque.
Exactly. Chosen one. That's the word I'm looking for. Yes. So it's like, I don't know, it comes in with that selfishness that I'm now seeing, like, oh, okay, maybe like they're now playing into, like, he is now the chosen one, and he will kind of bump up with it.
And would you believe, on a quick Google search, what do you think the most prominent religion in Korea is?
No, is it
Protestant 45% and 18% Roman Catholic.
Wow.
So there's a very large percentage of believers in Christ in Korea. So that's a good pickup, Mikey. That's a good pickup.
All right. I can see that then.
Nice.
I don't know. I appreciated though episode 3 as just a kind of kickstart into.
It's very much the first step into the world. Like, you had the inciting incident, and now you have like the first step. Episode 3 was definitely an extension of the source material. I think the source material was much more tight, but this one, I think they stretched out a bit more. So that's why I think you guys don't have too much to talk about it, because you can sense that it was a bit kind of filled in some places. But yeah, I like how it ends him going into this, like, he has this secret quest. Like, he goes into this the subway station, and the girl walks past him. He's like, oh, I'm in like a different world. So it's outside of the random dungeons that appear and they have roadblocks for. Like, this one is completely for him, which is leave some breadcrumbs for you guys. But yeah, this is definitely like all right, we're in now. Like, this is like episode 3 on, or episode 4 on now. It's like we're on for the ride. So I've enjoyed these first 3 episodes. I'm more excited to kind of get into what makes solo leveling great, which is the next part of the story.
So on a different topic, kind of swaying into some other thoughts here. I wanted to talk about the voice acting. Taito Bong, I believe that's how you pronounce his name, or if it's Taito Ban, I'm not sure. However, he's the guy who voice acts Sung Jin Woo. There was a news that came out that he, on episode 2, was coughing up blood because of how intense he was going.
My God.
So I'm assuming that was when he was doing the whole, he's getting slashed to pieces. But this is one criticism, because I heard that news before I watched episode 2. So I was expecting like crazy, like, however, in episode 2, his screams and his curdles and all of that, they like deafen it. They like almost like a low pass filter it, like drown it out, while he has like a voiceover on top.
Mm.
I don't know if you would particularly call this criticism or what, but I almost wish we heard more of that, because after hearing the news, I was like, what? Like, I want to hear some crazy voice acting. And don't get me wrong, what you do hear is great, but the production side of it kind of dims it out and drowns it out with like other ambience. So do you guys think that, I don't know if you guys picked up on that or not, or do you think that that could have been like missed potential there to like amplify the scene even further than how intense it already was? Or
Yeah, I mean, I think I did notice that, it was kind of deafened behind the statues and some of the music. I don't think it really hit me that much, because I'm not the biggest fan of like blood curdling screams like that, so like they would kind of off put me. But yeah, I don't have any strong feelings about that. I did hear about like the coughing up blood, which is like it's insane, the voice acting talent and what they put on the line for this. It's crazy. But yeah, no strong feelings on that. How about you, Mikey?
Nothing like crazy strong. I do, though, hearing that, I wish as well that they kind of poured a little bit more into that. I don't know. I feel like that would have been the moment to do something like that, just because if like if he was being slashed up, then like let's make it sound like he's being slashed up. But like, again, it wasn't anything like too off-putting to the point where I was like it stood out to me. But now that you're saying it and I think about it, I'm like, oh, okay, I do remember that, and I do wish they did. It wasn't like no problems with how they did it. I just wish they did do something like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Right.
It's not like a big criticism. It's almost just there's like just something like almost like a what if, like an alternate reality of like, oh, I wish I could have saw that in a different execution. From a production side of things. Going while I'm still
keep
here,
going.
I do want to talk about more breadcrumbs. You mentioned the geopolitical aspect of it.
Yeah, sure.
And like the chairman, and like then there's like the two guys in suits that bring Sung Jin Woo the mana reader.
Yeah.
So like I really like that. I really hope, like I mentioned, I feel like a broken record, but because it's only 3 episodes in, I don't know what to expect, but I hope that they explore upon that more. I like the second they walked in, I was like, ooh, okay, this is like this is a little bit more than just like fighting goblins in a stone wall dungeon. And then also like obviously the other S tier hunters, but the one that stood out to me was an incredible scene. Key animated by Hirokatsu Maruyama, where the blonde S rank hunter, and speaking of the theme of selflessness and selfishness, how that one woman on the street, citizen, gets her purse stolen, and then this S rank hunter, like the blonde hair and the pink hat, like stops the motorcycle in this awesome animated sequence where she's like cartwheels around the motorcycle. I love shit like that. I thought it was so cool. But then we see her like she gets overwhelmed and just like jumps out of there from the attention. So I hope we see more of whoever she is, and what's going on there. Just I also wanted to point that out because, like I mentioned, Hirokatsu Moriyama does an incredible job with that scene. So.
Yeah, they do a good job of interweaving some of the geopolitical stuff. We get introduced to the guilds, like we see that the fire guy from the first scene, like he tries to recruit her to his guild. We have the tiger guy who's an S rank hunter, and he has a guild, and that just opens up a whole new thing of like now there's like a guild type of system in the hunter world. And yeah, I like that you brought that up, and yeah, there's a lot of like fun to be had with that aspect of it. any other takeaways from you for like the world of what they're setting up? And what was I was gonna say something. Oh, that's what I wanted to say. So the scene that you brought that up, it's interesting because it's like these hunters are superhuman, but they're confining themselves to only fighting in dungeons when they could like help people. So it's like selfishly they go into dungeons thinking they're helping people, but there's real world issues that they could also help with, but they're only helping in the dungeons, and they're getting money and fame, like they're getting guilds, they're getting power. And you see her, like she just helps someone on a motorbike, and it's like really easy for her. And of course the guy that can turn into a freaking tiger, like he could probably stop bad guys or criminals really easily, but you know, does he choose to do that, or does he just fight the dungeon type of thing? So that's another like good point to bring up on a small scene. Good eye.
And now that you mentioned the guilds too, I'm curious if we're gonna see, and this is like my brain now, like spinning theories and what ifs.
Yeah.
Curious if we're gonna see like politics between the guilds and like corruption here and there. And that would be so cool in my mind. I think that'd be so intriguing. If they do it, if they don't do it.
I definitely do feel like there is a world of corruption though that they could play into now that we're seeing that in 3 episodes selfishness and selflessness is becoming such an already major thing. I don't know, I feel like the same thing with like the TV show like The Boys, you know what I'm saying? Like you give somebody power, like in that instance, how are they going to use it? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Not even fully how are they going to use it, but like I guess like how are they going to use it for themselves or for other people? So I don't know. I definitely I like that.
You're on
right. Like, if they play more of the corruption, that would be really cool. That would be
So I guess any closing thoughts? Do you have any like big criticisms of the show? It's only been 3 episodes. For me, it's, you know, I wish episode 1 and 2 were combined into one for the premiere. I think there was sometimes way too much exposition for things happening. I wish they kind of just trusted the audience to understand what was going on. And I think that I forgot what I was going to say, but anything for you guys, anything for you guys that really stood out.
I think that it's really tough to say, like I said, because we're only 3 episodes in. I feel like all anime that I've watched recently have already been going on or have been a complete package to the point where I just like binge it, catch up. But with this, we're starting off fresh. We're starting off from the beginning. I'm almost like having this consumer like media watcher whiplash because I'm so used to like getting a good season or 2 already there for me to watch, and then I'm already established into the world, and like, you know, I binge watch it in like a week or maybe less. I'm already boom in the world. Okay, but this, it's brand new to me. It's going weekly, so
patience with it.
Yeah,
Patience.
so I think that's my fault. That's my fault. I need to now readjust because I haven't had a series like this in a while where it's brand new.
Yeah.
And then, so like I said, I can't really say much because of that. I don't really know what to expect besides the theories that I've kind of come up with here and there. This might be controversial. I'm the art direction of this series because I know like you mentioned, the art in the manhwa is super like praised, and I've seen panels. It's beautiful. However, the art direction in this, I thought it was going to be going into this. I thought it was going to be a lot more stylized per se. But we'll see. There's still so much more here. Like we haven't got into, you know, the future of what it can be or what will it be. So as of right now, though, I like, for example, like looking at Sung Jin Woo, I just see like when it comes to like the art design of everything, I just see like basic isekai, like protag, like character design. Like he looks like Kirito from Sword Art Online.
And maybe they're playing into it.
True.
And maybe they're playing into that that trope.
True. 'Cause
But no,
know-
I do agree. Like you said off camera, like Jujutsu Kaisen, Attack on Titan, like those shows have definitely spoiled us with the quality.
Yeah.
So I do agree, like to a degree. Like I'm like, yeah, like I wish this was just a bit more like interesting to look at. Like sometimes it could feel very flat, and then other scenes it's like, oh, this is really dynamic. So I agree with that.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. That's really my closing thoughts.
Yeah.
What about you, Mikey?
Mikey?
Yeah, no, I'm definitely intrigued so far what we have and to see what's to come. Again, being new to this, I'm now realizing that with a lot of these shows and movies in the anime genre, I realized that there's probably a lot of these are held down by seriously deep, like thematic sort of.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm saying. Like I feel like in the 3 episodes that we talked about today, like we talked about some pretty heavy themes, and so that alone is getting me really interested in watching other things now. Just because I think it's really cool when you can take like a cool sort of real life theme and apply it into this sort of world and these worlds and these characters. And so I appreciated what we've seen so far. I'm very excited to see being a newcomer to this I'm very curious when we're gonna get to see what's his internet name?
Sung Driplo?
Yes.
Yeah, it should be coming soon.
yes. I'm definitely waiting for that. But yeah, no, I'm excited with what we've seen so far.
Nice. Sure. Yeah, no, welcome, Mikey. Glad you're here for the anime. And yeah, hopefully it's opening a door for you to check out a lot more stuff. I love Solo Leveling. It's a really great story, but it's definitely one of the more simple ones. But I think even this conversation has elevated my view of the story of it. So I'm actually hoping that the anime continues to add on. I think my final thoughts on this, you know, I like some of the additions that they made here, and I'm hoping that they do that more later on, because I do feel, no spoilers, but in the story as a whole, there are some side characters that I feel are underwritten. They're kind of sidelined, and I really hope that they add more to them. And these early scenes of them adding stuff, I think, is really important. And I hope they add a little bit more to like the lore of the world as well. So that's what I'm looking forward to as someone who's read Solo Leveling. But yeah, I've had a lot of fun talking with you guys about this. I don't know how frequent we'll do these, if we do week by week or every 2 weeks, but you guys will know. We'll let you know. And I'm excited again. If you guys are just joining us, we are the animation crew here at Cinema Wave. We're talking all things animation, elevating the genre of animation. It's not just for kids. It's a way to tell beautiful stories for adults, kids, everyone. So we are actually going to be recording an episode in a couple days, the best of animation in 2023, that I cannot wait to talk about. TV shows, movies, everything. So definitely keep a lookout if you've enjoyed this episode. And yeah, so we're going to be signing off. If you don't follow us already, follow us at Cinema Wave Media on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and Threads, as well as at _Culture Wave Media, where you can find us on Instagram as well. So I'm one of your hosts signing off, Mark Jacobino. Thanks for watching, everyone.
And I'm Vinny Albano signing off.
Mikey Peniston signing off too.
Awesome. Thanks for watching, everyone.